Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell in the upper right hand corner. Follow me on all forms of social media. Check me out at thatdrummerguy.com and enjoy the following presentation.
Okay.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you very much for taking time to do this interview.
No problem.
Well, of course, we're here
first today.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I'm glad to be able to help start the day off with this and being able to talk about the brand new album from Subsignal, Muerta, which is actually coming out in just a few hours through Gentle Art of Music.
Yeah, that's correct. It's actually just 3 hours here in Germany, and then Muerta is out, so I'm pretty excited.
So how does it feel to finally be able to have this new album out? I mean, in such a short amount of time now.
Well, as I said, I'm excited because, it's like 2 years of hard work and, doubt, and you never know what happens with a new album. You never know which direction you're going, and, so I'm pretty excited and curious to find out what the people think. So far, the reactions here in Europe are great, and, I'm hopeful that the people in America will also like it.
Well, I can definitely speak for myself when I say I love what you guys have done with this album. I mean, from start to finish, it just feels like such a great full album rather than just a collection of songs. I mean, just from start to finish, all the variation that's going on there, the heavy moments, the very melodic, somber moments that are going through there. I mean, it just hits all the levels I love about the band.
Oh, that's cool. It's great to hear.
So, how did the songwriting process begin for La Muerte?
Well, it's like with all the albums that we've written so far. It's like you start with one track, and actually the first song I've written was the title track, La Muerta, and from there it's like Arne and I, we never sit together and plan an album like, okay, we have to do this concept or develop a story or something like that. We just start writing, and I think the first song is the most important song because a little bit it shows the direction in which the next pieces are going, but it sounds very easy, but it's 2 years of hard work, and then recording it. The recordings took I think more than a half year, and so now I'm really happy that tomorrow the album is finally out, and everything is finished. Now we can concentrate on touring and on the next album.
Oh yeah, I mean, and it's amazing to see the work that could be done in the amount of 2 years. It's just like I can definitely tell throughout the album. It's just like there's a lot of great emotionally driven moments that are going through there, and it's just like when being in a band can take a lot out of you, and it's great to see everything that could happen from the 2 years of starting to being able to see what came out with this new album.
As I said before, it's like you never know where you're going, and it's hard to describe, because when we did the fourth album, Beacons of Somewhere Sometime, this was a pretty emotional album with heavy topics and stuff like that, and so La Muerta was some sort of a relief. It's the songs are a little bit lighter, maybe not so heavy, more melodies in it, and also the production is I think is more transparent. You can hear a lot of more details, like guitars in the background, and so our focus was the details and the songs, and we were going for shorter songs and no concepts and stuff like that. So, but it's as I mentioned before, 2 years is it's really, it sounds like you're writing home, but it's a lot of work, and so it feels great now to have it out tomorrow.
And with that, you lightly touched on production, which I was very curious about. I mean, seeing that you got an amazing duo being able to handle the production duties, how did they come into the fold for the new album?
Well, was pretty easy because I know Kalle Wagner for a couple of years now. We worked together before on the Touchstones album. We did the whole guitar production in the studio. I think it was in like 5 years ago or so. And and then after the fourth album, our contract with our German record company, Six Records, this was the final record, and so we thought it's time for a change, and we approached the guys, and of course we knew the guys from RPVL, and we did some shows together, and we said, well, I think Yogi also is a great producer, and I don't know if you're familiar with the Blind Ego album by Kalle.
Oh yes.
And when we heard the album, the production, we said, wow, this is cool. This could be something for the next Subsignal album. And so we sat together, and they offered us a very good deal, and here we are. It was pretty easy, and also the whole production, the recording stuff, and was relaxing. So there was no pressure on us, and it was like friends sitting together, and come on, try this sound, maybe try this guitar line or this vocal line, and this was really great, really great production.
Oh, and that makes me so happy to hear that too, because I know that happens so often in the studio with bands where there's so many things that can go wrong in the recording studio, and it's great to see that everything did work out the way that it should.
Yeah, it was perfect. As you mentioned, in the studio there's always trouble and problems, and we had that before, but this time it was pretty easy. The weather was fine. We recorded in springtime and in summer, so we had some beer here. It was pretty close to Munich, and it was like, come on, let's record something and let's have fun, and it was really, really good. But of course, it's still a lot of work, but this ton of work didn't feel like pressure or a weight on our shoulders. It was like it was really cool. You had these guys, and I mean, we're friends now, and this is something I think very important if you do something creative and when you're working in a creative process. And so all I can say was perfect.
Yeah, and again, just as a fan, that's just so great to see that. I mean, for as long as you guys have been around, with how many releases that you guys have been able to do, just like at the current point of where you're at right now, just everything lined up the way that it should, being on a great label, getting some great production work, getting a great lineup to be able to release an amazing album. It's great to see, just across the board, everything working out the way that it should.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I had before Subsignal, I was in a band, CGC Even. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
Oh yes.
And I remember the last recordings we did there. It was pretty. There was problems. Yeah, and it was no fun at all. Of course, the productions in the end, when we hear the result, everything was fine. But the whole process, the songwriting process, and the actual recordings, this was always something. It was real hard work to get these albums out, and so this album La Muerta shows things can go differently. I mean, this was the total opposite. Very relaxing and friendly atmosphere, really great.
And with that, how do you think that having everything going the way that it should be affected the album? Do you think like it affected it anyway, as far as like what's being played on the album or being sung?
Absolutely. I mean, if you hear the whole vocal production, I mean, I think Arno has never sounded that good like on this album, because he did the whole vocal recordings with Yogi, and Yogi is also, of course, he's also a great singer, and I think it's a difference. There's a difference if you work with someone who's familiar with your instrument, and that's Arno's voice, or when I work with Kalle, he's a guitar player. I mean, this is very different, and this has a positive effect on the whole thing, our whole guitar production, the vocal production, the drums, and so that was, as I said before, everything was really, really perfect this time. I know things can go wrong, but this time everything was just fine, and I think you can hear it. This album sounds fresh and positive, even in the more sad moments of the album. There's still some positive energy, and at least that's what I feel about it.
And with that, I mean, obviously with you handling the lyrical duties, I mean, how did you want to approach what you did with this album?
Well, the approach was not to write a concept album. I mean, I have so many things in my head, and as I talked to Arne, and we said, okay, we do like 10 or 11 tracks, with no connection, no lyrical connection. Yeah, no, that's not so easy, because if you write lyrics, at least it goes for me, when I write a song, a lot of personal stuff comes in it, but I didn't want to do telling a story. Each song is telling a story, but not the whole album. So each song should stand for itself. That was the approach.
Yeah, and I definitely hear that throughout the album. I mean, there's like some themes that are going on throughout the album. I mean, that's going to happen when you put a collection of songs together for an album, but, you know, every song does stand out on its own, has its own story, has its own character feel, and just really fits together so well on this album.
Yeah, as I said before, that was the intention. And when we did the Beacons album, it was different because we had this the theme, the piano theme that appears throughout the whole album and connects the songs, and you have a storyline, and yeah, it's some sort of a concept album. But with this album, I mean, okay, you can hear it's Subsignal. I think, you know, there's some trademarks like the harmony vocals and some keyboard stuff that's going on, and maybe also my guitars. But yeah, the focus was each song. Each song should stand on for itself, you know.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, along with that too, I mean, with just the album coming out in just a few short hours there in Germany, and getting the due press for the album, you know, just hearing everyone's thoughts, being able to talk about the band and the album at this point. I mean, one of the best parts of being in a band is coming up soon, you know, being able to promote the album in a live setting.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, like the last albums, it was like the release date was there, and a couple of days later we were heading out on the road and present the album. This time we said, okay, let's release the album and let's wait some couple of months and then go out on the road, and that's what we're doing now. We're going on tour in October, but we, of course, we are as we speak, we are working on a set list and thinking about the songs that we're going to present. I think if you play like we do in October, people can get familiar with the new stuff. I think it's always a little bit hard for the audience if you only present the new material. But now we have some months in between, and so people can listen to the album, get familiar with the lyrics, and sing along. But we're really excited to go out and play the new stuff.
Yeah, and that's so great to hear that too. You know, it's just like the more that I listen to the album, it's like I'm hearing sounds that I think would sound so very well in a live setting, and it's going to be fantastic to see what songs are going to be making it into the live setting, and seeing what from the back catalog is also going to be a part of that set list.
Yeah, I mean, this is the hard part, you know, because I would love to play the whole album, but we have now 5 Subsignal albums. Sometimes we also play some older CGs even songs, and so we're talking about which songs we should choose, and this is really hard. But I think we were going for 4 or 5 songs of the new album, and then we have to really think to find a mixture of the other 4 albums. And yeah, by the way, the first album by Subsignal, Beautiful Monsters, turns 10 years next year, and so maybe we're doing a anniversary tour. So next year we'll maybe focus on the first album, and I think this year will be the year of La Muerta, promoting the new album, and maybe next year we maybe focus on more older stuff when we go on the road.
Yeah, and I'm just going to bring that up too, and that makes me so excited to see that you guys are going to be celebrating the 10th anniversary next year. I mean, that is just so great to hear that.
Yeah, but maybe we're going to the USA next year, and maybe we present it to you.
Even better. I mean, that sounds fantastic. I mean, you know,
yeah, we're working on it, and hopefully it works out.
Yeah, I hope so as well. And I mean, again, you know, it's just like, it's so great to hear that. I mean, everything is just going the way that it should be right now. I mean, being able to help present and promote a brand new fantastic album, and then next year being able to celebrate 10 years of the debut album, and being able to show that off, and we're seeing the progression of the band in the last 10 years. How do you personally feel about the progression of the band since the debut album?
Well, I'm extremely proud that we made it now to the fifth album. I mean, there's something you can take for granted. I mean, when Arno and I, we started from zero when we left Sieges even, and we didn't have a contract, no musicians. It just was the two of us and our manager, and we sat together and we said, "Come on, this cannot be the end." And so we said, "Okay, let's go for Subsignal, find some musicians, and find a contract." And we put a lot of energy, a lot of hard work into the band, and we went through difficult times. But now looking back, I'm extremely proud that we actually managed to cope with those trying times in our band history. And now the fifth album, and I mean, I'm personally already writing stuff for the next album. And this is something that makes me really proud, and that we've made it to this day.
Yeah, and I was curious about that too. It's just like being able to work on this album in the last couple of years, and of course having the album coming out in just a few hours through Germany, and of course hitting mine in a little bit longer than that, but still coming out within the next day. It's like I imagine that you were working on the sixth release right now, and it's great to see that that's already in progression.
Yeah, something I always do when an album is finished. I don't go on a holiday or something. That I simply keep on writing. That's what I do for my whole life. And I think it's important to keep the engine running. At least for me, I have to do it to live. This music is my life. Writing songs is my life, and this band. This is, and I'm really ambitious to get this band onto another level. And so, as I said before, it's a lot of hard work, but I enjoy that.
So, with that in mind, I mean, constantly having new ideas after you're done with the latest album at the time. I mean, when it comes to this album, how much have the songs changed from when you originally started writing them?
Well, from the original demo to the album version, I think I write a song and I finish it, and the things that in a production process that can change are minor changes. Goes for the vocal lines as well. I mean, Arno writes his lines, and we hardly change something like that. But with La Muerta, it was like guys like Kalle and you. They said, okay, the songs are great, but maybe we can do something with the sound design. We use different samples and stuff like that, but we didn't change the structures of the songs. They were finished, and we felt they were great that were the way. But Kalle and Yogi put a lot of energy in creating a great sound, a great picture. It's like a movie for me when I listen to the albums over headphones, and so the whole sound design. This is I think the most of the production work, and they did a fantastic job on that.
Yeah, and it's amazing to think about that. I mean, especially when you're the one that's creating the music, whether it's the lyrical content or the guitar riffs or whatever the case is, being able to start off writing for that next musical session, and then when you get into the production aspect of it, seeing how the songs can change, even if it does have the same structure.
Yeah, I mean, when I write here at home, I have something in mind when I see the band in the studio, and I know where we can go in the studio. If you have the right people around you, like a good production team and people that have a vision, and then you can lift the song to the next level. And this was our approach with Kalle and Joey. So we had a lot of talks before the album, before the production started. So they knew the songs, they knew all the songs, and I think the whole demos were some sort of a pre-production, and they said, okay, I like everything, I like the melodies, I like the structures of the songs, but let's try something different with the sounds, maybe also the guitar sounds. This time we use different amplifiers, different guitars, and here more acoustic guitars, and so this has I think this had a major impact on the whole sound of Subsignal.
And with that, I mean, you just mentioned that you were able able to use different equipment. I mean, as far as like amps and guitars and other things. How does it feel being able to have like a different equipment at your disposal to be able to get the right tones that you need for the album?
I mean, it was a great opportunity because the studio where we recorded was equipped with the best amplifiers, tons of guitars, and a lot of possibilities. And so this is like paradise for a musician. And compared to the other albums, it was like entering paradise, because you have to, because also there's a danger in it, because you have so many possibilities, and you can record and try things out for forever. But at one point you have to choose. Okay, I take this guitar, I take this amplifier. Let's go for this sample. And but we were lucky to have these guys and helping us, saying, okay, this is the sound, so let's do it.
Yeah, and I mean, I can imagine that also being overwhelming, but again, when you go through all of that and then you eventually hear the final product that's going on there, being able to see the right choices that you made for the album, making sure that you pick out the right amplifier, the right guitar for whichever song it is, and, eventually getting into the live setting, being able to replicate those sounds to the best of your ability in the live setting. I mean, that's just got to be such a great feeling.
Yeah, of course. But live is also different compared to the studio work. And it's not our approach to play the songs live exactly like we recorded in the studio. I mean, we won't change the structures of the song, but maybe we use different sounds on stage because playing live has a different energy. And so the next part is now working on the tour that starts in October, and thinking about, for me as a guitar player, which sounds do I use when I hit the stage with the band, and how can we play some songs. Maybe if you listen to the album, there's a lot of guitar work, and of course I cannot play 4 guitars at the same time, and at that point you have to make a decision. Maybe you leave some guitars out, or you say, okay, maybe the bass player can take over, or even the keyboard player, and something we did also in the past, and it worked pretty well. And so I think this is for the next month. There's a lot of work coming when it comes to arranging the songs for a live setting.
Yeah, and that's going to be fantastic to see the way that the synths are going to be going out that way. And just like you said, I mean, when you do have multiple guitar tracks that are going on there, trying to get the best possible sound that you can for an album, I mean, unless you have that many musicians joining you on stage, it's not going to be able to get it perfectly replicated, but it's just going to be great to be able to see how you guys are able to transform these sounds into a live setting and just make for the best possible live show.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, we were thinking about getting a second guitar player for a tour, but I think it doesn't feel right, because the band is Arno, me, and the other guys, and we wrote the album. We're a team, and I think it's a challenge. Every tour is a challenge, every album is a challenge, and so far everything worked out pretty well in the past, and I think the next tour will be great as well. And at the moment we're also thinking about the whole production, like the stage design and stuff like that. I think it will lift us to another level, and I'm excited to go on stage with the new material, of course.
Absolutely. And I think right there, I think that's a great note to end on. Thank you so very much for taking the time to talk to me about everything that's going on in the world of Subsignal right now, and of course talking about the brand new album Muerta, which is coming out, depending on where you are, coming out on Friday through Gentle Art of Music. For some people it's just a couple hours, for me it's a little bit longer, but just coming out on Friday, and being able to hear such great music that you guys have done, seeing the culmination of where the band is right now over the last decade or so, with the 5th album, being able to see the progression of the band, hearing that there's talks of coming to North America. I mean, that's so fantastic to see that you guys are going to be coming over here, being able to promote the new album, and it's fantastic to see everything going in the right direction with the band. It's so awesome to see that.
Yeah, thank you for the interview, and I'm really excited as well. And as you said before, it's like here in Germany, it's only 3 hours, and then the beast is out.
So with that said, before we wrap things up, is there anything else you'd like to mention that I hadn't brought up yet?
Sorry?
Is there anything else you'd like to mention that we hadn't talked about yet?
Yeah, maybe that we really looking forward and hoping that everything works out, that we can come to the United States again, because it's like 4 years ago that we played there for the first time. It was only one show, but it was fantastic audience, and so knock on wood, we really hope that next year we will be able to come again over to your country.